As you can see, this is a fairly large copper coin. It's not currency, it's just a copper round. It's 1 ounce and it's fairly big. Comparison, you can see the quarter is significantly smaller. It's really a huge coin. I don't make rings out of coins this big very often. The key to making a good ring is to get the dead center of a coin so you can punch a hole in the middle. If you don't have it perfectly centered, then it's not going to work very nice. Normally I have some kind of jigs that I set up that can find the center easily, but this is a really large coin and doesn't fit my jig, so I use my calipers. I measure the diameter of the coin, take away the diameter of the punch, divide that by 2, and that gives me a number, and then I mark all the way around the coin with that number, 11.71 in this case. Once I'm done, then I have a perfect dead center circle where the punch will punch through. And I just have a simple little metal punch that punches right through the coin. So I just line it up in there, perfectly centered. Put the punch down inside the plastic casing, and we'll go to the press. This is a 6-ton press that's going to basically push down on that metal rod till it pops right through the coin. And there it goes, right through the center. I'm going to just push this little rod all the way through till it falls at the bottom. And then we should have our hole. And there we go, we have our hole punched right out of the coin. Dead center. There's the little knockout that we have. Don't really do much with those, but you'll see now that from the punch out, the edges are really sharp. So I take this deburring tool and I just cut out all around the edges. This removes any cracks that might have appeared in there that will split when I start bending the coin, but it also just smooths it out so it's not so sharp and rough. And there you go, the edges all that roughness is gone. It's nice and smooth, so it's a little bit easier to work with. Now in order to bend the coin and manipulate it, we have to heat it up. So I just use a propane torch here, and I'll put it right onto the coin and get it nice and hot. Sometimes it'll actually get red hot, depending on the metal. Silver, you're not going to heat up as much. Copper, probably not as much either. If it was just a everyday clad coin, like a quarter, I'd heat it up till it was actually glowing red. But this I'll just get nice and hot, and then quench it in water, so it doesn't need to be hot while I work with it. It can be cooled right off by quenching it in water, and it'll still be nice and soft. And as I work on it, it'll harden up, and I'll actually this is called annealing. I'll do it several times. I'll probably just show you this one time, but I'll do it several times throughout the process. So I'm going to take it and I will dip it in some water, cool it right off. Now we're going to start bending the coin into a ring shape. Whatever side we want to be on the outside of the ring, we'll put down. And we use these dies. Now this is 17-degree die, so inside of that middle die is tapered 17 degrees. And I'll use this cone to push down inside that die. And we'll use the press again for this. So line it up under that press and just push down on it, and it will start to bend that coin into the shape of a ring. And as I said before, you heat it up often, so I'm going to take it out at this point and go heat it up. And you can really see now that it's starting to take the shape of a ring. It's bent out, and we're just going to keep continuing to kind of pry this open, heating it up regularly. So I'm going to put it back in here. I'm going to take that cone and I'm going to press it down even further, basically until the walls of that, the inside walls of that coin are touching up against the, or almost touching up against the cone. And there we go. That's about as far as I want to go with it. We can take it out. Now you can see it's even closer to the shape of a ring, but it's still very tapered, very thick. And we need to get it a little bit more straight. And you can also see that it's absolutely humongous right now. It's not even close to fitting my finger. You'll also notice here that this outside edge kind of has a sharp edge where the reed of the coin is. So I want to work on taking that down, sanding it down a little bit. So I'm going to use this little polishing mandrel, and I'm going to lock my ring on there, and then I'm going to stick in my drill and basically just sand it off and work on it for a while. You can see that edge is nice and polished off now. It's not so sharp. It's got a little bit more of a rounded edge. It'll make it a lot more comfortable if you want to wear the ring as well. And once we start making the ring, one of the most important parts is to preserve the detail on the coin. If you're pressing this copper into a solid metal die, it'll just depress all the copper detail and basically flatten out the coin. So in order to preserve it, as we start pushing this coin through the dies, I use this plumber's tape, and I will wrap it up nice and thick, and we'll push it down through a die, but it'll be completely protected with just layers and layers of this plumber's tape. Now, in order to press this ring down smaller, I'm going to push it down through this die. Now, this is a different die. This is only about, I think, 7 degrees, so it pushes it down at less of an angle. I usually use a little bit of coconut oil. Smells good. Throw it in there, just cooking coconut oil, just so it slides down the die. I'm going to push it down through there and basically shrink everything up. So I'll put it under my press. I use these aluminum rods to push it down into the die. And in order to protect the reeded, the bumpy part on the top, I'm going to just use this little makeup pad to keep the metal off metal. So I'll set it right in there, and I will start pressing. And we're at the bottom of that where the metal of the rod is pushing into the die, but you can see we're starting to bring that wide part. It's starting to get narrower. It's becoming more and more like a ring. So we're just going to continue pushing this ring down through this die till it gets to the bottom and basically shrinks up. So I've rewrapped it in some plumber's tape, and I'm just going to keep on pushing it down. Find the right rod and get another makeup pad to keep it from damaging the coin or the edges of the die. And I'm just going to press this right down in there. Now you can see that it's actually becoming quite flat. It doesn't have that severe taper anymore. It's getting close to ring shape, which is what we're looking for. You can see that the ring is still really big though. We need to keep on shrinking it down. Now you can see that it's almost coming through the bottom of this die, so I have to go down to a little bit smaller die and slowly work our way down so we can get this ring shrunken up. So we're done with that one. Now we'll start to use this die, and we have some room for that one too, so we're going to start pressing it down through this die. So we have it all wrapped up again in our Teflon plumber's tape. We're going to set it in the die. We're going to pick the right rod to kind of push it down through there. Again, protect it with the makeup pad, and we'll just push it down through. Just pop that ring out there, and we can see that the walls of the ring are actually really flat, and it's getting to a point where it's going to be fitting my finger, which is about a size maybe 10.5 or 11, but we still need to go down a little bit further. So we're going to go down to the next die size down and just keep on pressing down. And there we go. The ring now is as small as we're going to get it, as small as we want to get it. We could keep on going if we wanted to. It doesn't quite fit on my finger, but that's okay, because now we're going to take it to the ring stretcher to get it shaped. You can see it doesn't quite fit on my finger, and it is still tapered. So this ring stretcher, the way it works is when you lift up, there's splines that expand, and when you bring it down, the splines contract. So up and down, it slowly opens up the ring. We'll put it the smaller side down, and I'll protect it with this paper towel so that it doesn't damage the inside detail of the coin either, because we don't want that damaged. So it's slowly bringing the bottom out to make it a little bit straighter. Just wanted to show you quickly some of the tools I use. These dies, they're all different degrees, angles, and sizes, and punches, calipers, ring stretchers, buffers, and this is the 6-ton press that I use to press the coins with. So we're back to the coin. Now the inside of that coin still has a really heavy lip, and in order for it to be somewhat comfortable to wear, we need to get rid of that. So I'm just going to go back to this deburring tool and just really grind out some of that inner lip, just to get rid of that really sharp edge. And because it's still tapered like this, and we don't want it to be like that, we're going to put it upside down back into a 17-degree die, and we're going to press down on top of it. And we're just going to press it ever so slightly and kind of suck that bottom part back in, so it gives it a little bit of a rounded shape and a little bit more of a symmetrical shape. So just got a little metal plate that I'm going to stick on top of that, and I'm just going to pry that back in a little bit. And now it doesn't look like it's so tapered. Once that's done, we need to just kind of sand up and clean up these edges. So I'm going to put it back on my polishing mandrel, and I'm just going to get some pretty fine grit sandpaper, and I'm going to sand the outer edge of the coin and the inner edge of the coin so it's nice and polished and sanded. And we'll just do the same thing. I flip the coin around, or the ring around, and I'm just going to even up the whole bottom of it and sand it off and round it off. Gives it a little bit more of a comfort fit. Now really all we have to do is to polish it up. So I use some Mother's polish. It's just a mag and aluminum polish. It works good on, it works okay on copper and silver, but I'll apply a little bit on there, and then I'll just use a little polishing rag to polish it up. Now polishing the inside of the ring is another story. I've made this makeshift PVC split end drill bit that I can put the coin in there. Again, I'll just put in some polish, and I'll get my cloth in there and we'll polish it up. And there we go. There's the polished up ring. Now I use some jewelry cloth polishing rags, cleaning and polishing rags. Now just finish it up. One side will clean it up. The white side cleans it, and the purple side polishes it. So we'll clean it right up.